Hello, it's Ryan from 2MinuteTennis.net and welcome to Friday Q&A. This is where I answer your questions that you submit, and I'm so excited for this episode. I've got 3 questions, and if you have a question you would like me to answer in a future episode, just throw it in the comment section below. All right, question number 1. If you could only prioritize 2 things on the serve to get right, to achieve decent power and consistency, what would they be? Ron Swain, Winnipeg, Canada. Thank you, Ron. Great question. Let's get to the next 2 questions and then I'll answer them. All right. Hello, Ryan. I'm wondering about proper grip for volleys. Is it continental? Should one try to switch to a forehand or backhand grip if there is time? Thanks, Bob from California. And last, how to correct too big a backswing in executing forehand, especially if your backswing is okay initially but suddenly goes back when you release your second hand from the racket. I think after the unit turn swing, as you call it. And that's from Marino from, he said, Canada or Croatia. I guess he lives in both places. Super excited for all 3 of these questions. Let's get to it. All right, first question. Ron, you asked for the 2 things I would prioritize for someone to hit a great serve. Now, I really can't reduce it down to 2, but I can reduce it down to 3. First is the grip. Second is the type of swing and racket path I want you to take. And last is the type of serve I want you to practice. So first, let's look at the grip. You should put the base knuckle of your index finger and your heel pad on panel number 2. Now, that's if you're right-handed. The lefties just reverse it. You're going to put the base knuckle of your index finger and heel pad on your panel number 2. That is called the continental grip and allows you to hit your best serves. Next is you want to get rid of the waiter's tray position. And we want to learn how to use a more circular swing where we try to keep our strings pointing down as long as possible. An easy way to do that is to wear a birthday hat. So I've been doing this for years. You want to put a birthday hat on your head. And by the way, when you wear a birthday hat, don't put the birthday hat in the back like it's a ponytail, but put the birthday hat in front so it's more like a unicorn horn, all right? So the reason is because when you use the waiter's tray serve, you would never hit the birthday hat. But when you move your racket like Osaka and Kyrgios and Djokovic and Federer, you would move the racket in a way where the racket passes in over the head, knocking the birthday hat off. And when you look at Sam Groth, look at a video of Sam Groth, the fastest server of all time. His racket literally passes straight in over his head. And if he was wearing a birthday hat, he would hit it every time. So go out and put a birthday hat on your head and you'll hit great serves. And the last thing for you to, have the 3 ideas to prioritize is the type of serve I want you to hit. The serve I want you to hit is a side spin serve. It is a serve where you, let me actually put it this way, where you spin the ball and you can see that ball rotating. I want you to prioritize side spin on your serve. Rather than hitting really flat, use the continental grip to your advantage and lead up with the edge. Yes, there is pronation. Yes, there's more to it than just 3 things. But really work on hitting side spin on your serve. One disclaimer, when you add spin, the ball wants to curve. If you're right-handed, it wants to curve to the left. So you've really got to get in your mind that you're aiming to the right if you're right-handed or aiming way to the left if you're left-handed in order to get that ball to go in. So continental grip, knock off the birthday hat, and hit side spin. Using those 3 ideas, without a doubt, are going to make your serve much better. Now, Bob asks a very controversial question, actually. He asks, what's the proper grip on a volley? Is it the continental, or should we be changing grips if we have time on the forehand and backhand? And I would absolutely tell you, if your volleys are great and your volleys are amazing and you don't want them to be any different, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're using a continental grip and you love your volleys, then stick with it. Good for you, and I'm happy for you. But if your volleys are kind of lacking something, trust me, you have plenty of time to change your grip. And you should change your grip to help square up the racket face against the back of the ball. The idea that you do not have enough time to change your grip on volleys is 95% of the time completely false. The teaching industry, in my opinion, gives people a grip system on the volleys that sets them up to fail. Yes, I'm saying it. The coaching industry, the certifications, and the certifications know who they are not helping the general public by telling players to use the Continental grip because you don't have enough time. It is not true. I'm not saying anyone's lying, because in order to lie, you have to know the truth. The truth is you do have enough time to change your grip, and I'm going to tell you why you should. Typically, players who use the one grip system chop and chip down against the back of the ball. And it's a very weak volley that is produced for players who struggle with it. Now, if your volleys are awesome with the Continental, don't change a thing. But if your volleys are lacking something, I don't want you to use a Continental grip on either volley. I want you to be slightly on one side or the other for your volleys. Yes, you have enough time to change your grip. You have plenty of time to change your grip 95% of the time. The 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20 that you don't have enough time is when you're playing doubles and the opponent has an overhead or they poach and you just block the ball. Well, guess what? Then you'll just be like everyone else who doesn't change the grip. So you'll be right in line with what everyone's telling you to do. You have plenty of time to change your grip. And the benefit of changing the grip is instead of the racket face being so open on both sides, now you square up the racket. So the grip that I would recommend is your knuckle on panel 3 and your heel pad on panel 2.5, or the corner between panel 2 and 3. That's on the forehand volley. On the backhand volley, I would recommend that you put your knuckle and heel pad on panel 1.5, right? So we're flanking kind of on either side of the Continental. When your racket is wide open on the backhand, you tend to do a lot of chopping. You get a lot of backspin, the ball floats. If I go from a Continental grip and I change to the grip I'm mentioning to you, it's not a full Eastern backhand grip. It's between a full Eastern backhand grip and a Continental. When I do that, look at my racket face. Here's a Continental. Here's the hybrid, right? The composite grip that I'm mentioning. Look at my forehand. Here's my Continental. Here's the grip that I recommend. I actually, in my tennis life, I have never used a Continental grip on either forehand or backhand volleys, ever. I always use a grip that's slightly on one side or the other. Now, players will then say, but you don't have enough time to change your grip. I'm like, well, have you ever tried it? Have you actually ever tried? It's like my kids saying they don't like broccoli. And I'm like, well, you've never tried it. And they're like, well, I know. How can you say you don't have enough time to change your grip if you've never tried it? Give it a try and you'll go, huh, there is enough time to change my grip. So give it a try. Yes, you can hit low volleys with this grip. This is something people say, yeah, but if it's a low volley, Ryan, you can't hit it. Okay, then why with a semi-Western grip can I hit a low ground stroke? You know, like this is even slightly past the semi-Western. So you can hit low balls with the grip that I'm talking about. You just open up your racket. But high balls, beautiful with this grip. You can hit amazing volleys if you just learn to change your grip. So Bob, I am so excited that you asked this question. Bob, if your volleys are awesome, and if you're watching this and your volleys are awesome, don't change your grip. But if you're struggling with your volleys and they just don't feel solid, try moving your hand actually slightly on either side of the Continental. Slightly toward the Eastern backhand for the backhand, slightly toward the Eastern forehand on the forehand volley. Don't use the Continental, but actually flank on either side slightly off the Continental, and you'll see a world of difference in the speed, dependability, and accuracy on your volleys. Now last, Marino was talking about how to fix a backswing that's too big. Now I'm going to be using the Topspin Pro to answer this question. If you are struggling with your ground strokes and you want more topspin, this is an amazing product. And if you're really enjoying my videos here on YouTube and you'd like to support me and the channel and my family, it would mean the world to us if you picked up a Topspin Pro as a gift for an upcoming holiday, birthday, whatever. Grab one of these with my link. The affiliate link is in the description below, and thanks for considering. So when you take your racket back, it's so common that players do have too large a backswing, and it looks like this. So they take their racket back, and then their backswing goes back here. So if you're trying to eliminate this, there are a couple things you can do. First, you can focus when you take your racket back on having a high elbow. Notice you can see my armpit's exposed. You'll notice that as my elbow drops, look at the racket position. my racket starts moving this way. So you'll see it all the time. People will turn for their forehand and their hand is above the elbow. When my hand is above my elbow, it's almost like a waiter's tray serve. My racket goes back here. The easiest way right off the bat to fix this is to get from the hand to the elbow to be level. So what I teach is the hand, elbow, and shoulder all being the same height. So first, when you turn, Marino, I want you to film yourself with both hands turning. Film yourself and check to see that your hand, elbow, and shoulder are all the same height. And when you film yourself from the back, your back armpit should be exposed. Now, there are some players who do that, but then they're so ingrained in taking the big swing that they take their racket too far back. So here's what I want you to try, Marino. When you drop your racket, have the racket as it drops with the tip pointing off to your right. So take the racket back and then drop the racket down with the tip of the racket pointing to the right. Then, as it drops, you'll turn your hips. This is called a pre-stretch forehand. Your hand goes forward, the racket goes back, and then you'll hit. And it's very much like Nadal, or you see Shapovalov do this. This is what Federer does, where the racket drops to the outside of the hand. See, players who have a swing that's too large, their racket goes back and the tip of their racket points to the left. And I'm saying left because that's my left and I'm playing tennis this way. So I turn and then I go like this. Even if my arm is level, I go like this and the tip of the racket points to the left of the camera. I want you to drop your racket down, trying to have the tip of the racket point off to the right of the camera. And then when you turn your hips and the hand goes forward, your butt cap points at the ball, tip of the racket snaps back. It's not an active move. It's your hand going forward and the weight of the racket lags, and then you hit the forehand. So 2 ideas, Marino, to help you. Turn with your hand, elbow, and shoulder all the same height, and really focus on elbow to the hand being level to the ground and not like this, right? So you want hand to your elbow level to the ground with all 3, hand, elbow, and shoulder all the same height, turning with both hands. And then when you drop the racket down, drop the racket with the tip of the racket pointing off to the right. You could think of it also the direction your chest is facing, rather than the tip of the racket pointing where my back is facing. That keeps the racket on the hitting side of my body. Thank you so much. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. I love answering the questions that you have. And if watching this video, you got a couple more ideas and what you'd like to learn, again, throw them in the comment section below. And don't forget, you got to like the video, you got to subscribe to the channel, and please put on the notification. Doing those things really helps this channel. Work on what you've learned in this episode. And there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2MinuteTennis.net. You got this.